Hey, I'm Glenn and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be planting our garden. I got it tilled the other day, but then we got a bunch of rain that kind of pushed me back. So it's the first week of May. I'm a little behind on getting it planted, but we had some really rough weather, cold, rainy, and it just didn't work out. So today we're going to get it planted. We're going to show you what we do, how we do it, and it saves us time on garden care throughout the year. So if you notice, it's shady right here. So this garden will have shade during the hot part of the summer for almost half the day. So with what we're doing, that's pretty crucial to keep the garden from overheating. I'm gonna rake all this down level and then I'll get back to you. This is just how it is. I'm sweaty. It's really humid today. It's just the reality of it. Yeah, I guess I could have mopped off and got all pretty for a camera, but it's not the reality of doing this stuff. So any way that you decide to garden, you're gonna have to put some work in it if you want it to work out right. So Connor's gonna come down here and he's gonna help me. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll out this landscape fabric. And some of you have probably seen this done, and some people are going to say that doesn't work. It works for us where we're at, and there's several reasons that we use it. One is our inability to keep it tilled. We're so busy. We got 3 of these knothead teenagers that we have to chase around, so sometimes we just don't have time to do the tilling. We have time to put some water on it, to check up on things. So it's one reason we do it. The second reason we do it is that if you can tell in the camera, we're kind of on a hill here. So with the rain we get, we have a tendency for our soil to wash off. And so this prevents too much of it from getting washed off. We still lose just a little bit. So the disadvantage of it is that I can't till it. So I can't aerate the soil. But this soil has a lot of earthworms in it. And so the worms do a really good job underneath this fabric of keeping things turned up. We've had 0 issues. As a matter of fact, we have more issues when we try not to use this and we try to till. We use mounds, and some people are going to say, oh, you got to mound it. Well, you really don't. This is tilled deep, about 8 inches deep. Unless we have some kind of disease or something, we should have a pretty good yield. Through, and we've added fabric stakes in between all these. Now someone's going to say, well, that's a lot of money. Well, what we do is we look for this fabric in the spring when they're having sales, and that's when we pick it up, or the end of the year when they're clearing it out, we'll pick it up then. The stakes, we only use them if they're on sale. So if you look here, we got a pile of rocks. And then along the back here, we've got these rocks here. Now, if you're looking for fancy and pretty, it may not work for you, but we've spent years with just using rocks to weigh this stuff down to cut on cost. And someone's gonna ask me why I don't mound it up. And there are 2 reasons. One, it's a heck of a lot more work, which I'm not scared of work. But 2 is we get a lot of wind and storms and stuff here. And when we've planted them in the rows that are mounded up, we find that sometimes the roots will run shallower than what we want, no matter how deep that we plant them, and then the plants will blow over or break off. So we found planting them here in this loose soil, 6 to 8 inches deep, and a flat surface, we don't have near as much problem. So we're gonna get with this and show you how we plant in this. Okay, so I'm gonna cut a slit here. And then after we get that, it's just like a little plus shape. All right, I'm gonna dig this dirt out and just set it to the side. And like I said, we got probably 8 inches of loose soil here, and that'll give them plenty to root in. All right. I'm gonna pull this up. Now you can do this a couple of ways. You can plant these leaves underground. We want about 75%, no less than 50% of this buried in the ground, and it'll root off of that. A lot of times I'll just pinch these bottom two off. I'll loosen up these roots just a little bit, and we'll stick that down in there. And then we're gonna put a little bit of water in it just to get those roots going good. And then we're gonna replace the dirt. All right. That down just a little bit. We want that tomato standing upright, and we want those roots getting good contact with the soil. All right, so if we get any grass at all, it'll just be a little bit right around the base, and it's not enough to hurt anything. But you can see the difference. You can see how much we planted in the ground. All right, so that's what we want, is that much of it planted. We've got these about 3 foot. You can plant them up to 4 foot apart. And they're probably still gonna touch each other by the time they're through growing. So we'll do one more here, and then we'll get back with you after we get them all in. So nobody wants to sit and watch me do this for 20 minutes. So just dig the dirt out. And this dirt it has chicken litter in it. It has some compost from the shavings and stuff. And we have ash from our little wood burning little fire pit that we've got. And this variety that we're planting is Better Boy. And these are the Bonnie plants. They're the Better Boy. And they do really well in our climate anyway. And we usually shop for them when they get 6-packs on sale. I'm not paying $5 a tomato plant for singles and stuff. And we found that actually if you buy the 6-packs, when they're smaller, the plants here seem to do better than the ones that are already really tall in the containers. Then you can see our soil is full of these little earthworms, and we got some in here that are bigger. And we'll leave him in there and he'll keep that aerated for us since we can't till it. All right, so we got all these tomatoes planted, and we're only doing 12 this year. We're cutting back a little bit. I usually do 18 to 24, but I'm crowding them a little much. So this should produce what we need to can and eat. And then Christy likes cherry tomatoes, so we've got, it's the first time I've grown this one, a little Bing. And then we've got a couple of jalapeno pepper plants. They usually put off a bunch, and then a couple of bell pepper plants. So we're gonna plant these zucchinis and these yellow crookneck squash, and I'll show you how we do that in this. It's a little bit different, but not complicated. Okay, so we skipped down for our last pepper plant about 3 foot, roughly. And what we're gonna do here is I'm actually gonna cut a little circle out. All right, so, and then this allows the squash to come up since we're planting seeds and break through. So we're gonna plant zucchini here, and we're just gonna plant about 3 hills of zucchini. And what we'll do is we'll put 3 seeds per hole on these zucchini in case some of them don't come up, and then we can thin them if we need to. So all I'm gonna do is take my finger, it's gonna make me about a 1-inch hole.
I don't know if they can see it, but...
And then I'm gonna plant these in there, all right? And then we'll come back afterward and we'll water them a little bit. So I'm just gonna cover them with dirt, kind of loosely. I'm not gonna pack it down. We'll move down about another 3 or 4 foot. And we're gonna plant another one. Now, when growing up, we always healed all of our stuff, but I've found this works just as good because of the deep tilling that we do. And this is gonna save us a lot of time later on. It's a little bit of work now, but it's gonna save us some time later on and give us time to do things we need to do as a family. So just gonna make about 1 inch deep on these zucchini, 3 in the hole, and then we're gonna Just lightly cover it, just so it gets good contact with the soil. We're gonna get all these zucchinis and squash planted, and then we'll get back to you. But you can see how we do the squash, just a little hole, and we just showed you that. We do the beans the same way. So we got some stringless bush beans. Now this is probably the most labor intensive part of it. And according to the directions on beans, it says 3 inches apart and then thin, but we don't do that. We get a big package of beans. We plant all that we want. If some doesn't come up, then we just end up replanting the ones that don't come up. We don't have to worry about thinning, but they go way down there. This will be green beans, all stringless green beans. So that's it. Took us about 2 hours to do all this, so a little bit of work, especially with these beans, but you know, we're done. We don't have to worry about a lot of labor. And then Christy planted flowers here where we ran out of this, and so this will just be flowers in the corner of the garden. Not super complicated, but if you're limited on time, this is a good way to do it. So maybe it'll help someone out, and we'll keep you updated on how it's doing. Works pretty good for us. Appreciate you watching.